Well, nearly 2 months after the Deepwater Horizon disaster, the Department of the Interior last week announced new, tougher standards for offshore drilling, some of which take effect immediately. Among key changes, rig operators must get the okay from a third party stating their safety devices like blowout preventers will work properly. But some are concerned the new rules may not be much better than the old ones. Dan Goldstein explains.
The goal is simple. If we are going to move forward with any kind of oil and gas production in the Outer Continental Shelf, it must be done in a safe manner. And assumptions that were made about safety in the past are not assumptions that will be made in the future.
For an industry and its regulator, whose image has been scarred badly by the Deepwater Horizon disaster, new drilling rules could mean a chance to rebuild public trust. LSU professor David Dismuke says it's a good first step.
And this is a way of reassuring the public that the operations are safe by having some kind of independent verification and certification of this equipment. So I think it plays more to creating some confidence in the safety of these activities more than anything.
The new rules stem from the 30-day DOI report on drilling safety out in May. Shallow water drilling less than 500 feet down can still go ahead, but not deep water. The biggest changes: an explicit process for certifying safety devices like blowout preventers and shear rams independent of industry standards. Engineers must also clear well casing and cement design. More training and more inspections are mandated too. And finally, CEOs must now have to personally sign off on the safety of their company.
For most good operators, they'll be able to give us the requirements that we have imposed on them, including certification that their blowout prevention mechanisms, that their redundancies, that their cementing procedures, that their casing procedures are all working.
Louisiana Senator Mary Landrieu understands all too well what this spill has cost her state. She says the new requirements could hurt oil companies that have a good safety record.
If you had so many other blowout preventers that worked, is it the blowout preventers that are wrong, or with the humans operating this particular one? And I think we're going to find a lot of human error here. So number one, just blaming the whole industry because of BP's either negligence, it could be gross negligence. But again, the industry has been generally safe. We know we have to review more safety procedures, but it has to be done quickly.
The certifications are due by June 28th. Unless work is halted so devices like blowout preventers can be retested on land, industry leaders like Lee Hunt, president of the International Association of Drilling Contractors, worry the new certifications will be just another piece of paper.
Genuine certification would require taking that piece of equipment onshore into a maintenance facility, taking it apart piece by piece, inspecting it, putting it back together, and sealing it and redelivering it. There's no way that can be done in less than a 90 to 120-day period on any single drilling rig.
And already pressure from Congress is rising on the Obama administration to roll back its 6-month moratorium on deepwater drilling. So far, the administration has said no, but with losses from jobs and lost production rising in the Gulf, the administration may have to make a change.
I think in the best case scenario, looking at these permits and reevaluating them on a case-by-case basis may wind up being the better approach rather than kind of a one-size-fits-all reaction to this.
And there are worries the moratorium could drag beyond 6 months if more tests are required.
And if you begin multiplying that by the backlog of people who would be wishing to do that, you have, in effect, a moratorium that will go 12, 18, 24 months.
Environmental groups like the Sierra Club say the delay is fine with them. Executive Director Michael Brune said last week, quote, "Improving safety regulations simply puts a Band-Aid on the wound. As long as there is offshore drilling, there will be oil spills." Either way, to Senator Landrieu, the economic crisis in the Gulf is about to get worse.
This rogue well, has been done terrible damage. But if we lose the ability to produce in deep water off America's coast so that this deep water production moves to China or Africa, the economic consequences and the national security consequences will far exceed what the environmental consequences of this particular spill are.
Up next, the administration also wants a comprehensive remake of offshore rules, moving away from government standards that critics say relied too much on industry specifications. Still, that could be more than a year away, adding more uncertainty to a region in need of solutions now. Dan Goldstein, Clean Skies News.
While Salazar has maintained that the 6-month deepwater moratorium will remain, he says BP, as the responsible party, should pay wages for oil industry workers who lose their jobs under the moratorium.